as it was said, it's 40 years since I first started the big band, but my musical life really started in Gore, believe it or not, the home of country music. I came from a musical family, and both my parents, my mother was a piano player, my father was a cornetist, violinist. For some reason, they decided that young Rodger would learn to play violin. I do not know why, but I was sent off to the local convent. The local nun in Gore had the task of trying to teach me violin. So basically I arrived up there, but I perfected hiccups, mainly to get out of the lessons. So after about 10 minutes of each lesson, I managed to get the hiccups going. I'd be shown outside onto the balcony. We went through the whole rigmarole of holding my breath for 30 seconds, etc., 40 seconds, 90 seconds, trying to get rid of them. About 2 months later, my parents were summoned by the local nun and basically was told, "We don't think Rodger really wants to learn violin." So as the story sort of progressed, I was then given my father's second instrument choice, that being the cornet or trumpet. So that was more to my liking. I learned that for about a year in Gore. My father was the bandmaster in Gore and taught at Gore High School as the head of music. He then got the position at Minor College in Pororo, and we shifted to Wellington, the family shifted to Wellington. I was still playing cornet, lived in Titahi Bay, did that for 2 years, and then I was due to go to Minor College in my first year of high school. He arrived home with this. The cornet was taken off me, and I was given the summer to learn this because mainly all the trombone players had left the school band. And once again, young Rodger was going to be the trombone player in the Minor College band. So all through my life, things have happened to change my path as a musician. So starting out first, I was going to be a classical violinist, then a cornet player, then a trombone player. I went to Minor College, and as most young brass players do, and probably still do in New Zealand, there's a particular route we take. So I played in the school band, I played in the school orchestra, and you play in the local brass band. Through that, I also started to play in the Wellington Youth Symphony Orchestra and got accepted to the National Youth Symphony Orchestra on 5 occasions. And I was sort of looking at a professional career in music. And at that stage, the National Orchestra or the New Zealand Symphony Orchestra had the National Orchestra trainees, which was a 3-year apprenticeship. And the idea was that you went in for 3 years, you studied alongside people from the Symphony Orchestra, and when you left, they found new positions in various orchestras, be it the Symphony Orchestra or Orchestra. It's actually a pity they don't have that now. It went along with all the apprenticeship schemes when they were cancelled by one of the governments. But so I auditioned and was accepted. November. End of January, a letter came out, and basically the letter said, "Thank you very much, but we're now terminating all the positions for brass and woodwinds because all the players who had been from the previous 3-year intake hadn't been able to find positions in music." So they decided to cut it out. End of my classical career. I opened the newspaper, the Evening Post, which was still going in those days. Opened the paper, the entertainment section, there was a big ad saying brass players wanted. Quincy Concert. And Quincy Concert, for those who lived in Wellington in the late 60s, early 70s, was probably the main commercial rock band in town, did a lot of recordings for EMI and had many top 10 hits. So I went in and auditioned for that band and got the position. So basically I went from a classical career to playing in a rock band and playing jazz pretty much within about a 24-hour slot. Now most people sort of think you can't do it, so to me that was the next defining point of my life. I had become a professional musician, but as a jazz musician. So the question was, now it was a quiz, I believe. The question is, what's the difference for a player if you're going to play in a brass band or orchestra against playing in a jazz band?
The clothes you wear.
The clothes you wear. Okay. Well, I've just turned 60 and I've still got my hair, so I'm a hip jazz musician. Right. Anything else?
Money.
Money? Well, I must say playing in the symphony orchestra is reasonably lucrative. You unfortunately, you do have to keep practicing. In the jazz fraternity, I have been lucky because I've played many different styles of music. So I've got the big band, and by being able to play jazz and come through a whole lot of different things, it sort of opened it out. But there's a really different stylistic shift it has to be, and that is what?
In the brass band, the notes have to be exact, but in jazz, you can slide the notes.
Yeah.
Improvise.
Improvise. Yeah, the key thing to playing jazz is improvisation. And now improvisation is where you take a set and given melody and you improvise. So you basically become an instant composer right on the spot. Now, it's a wee bit more structured than that. Most people think we just get up and sort of, we randomly play some stuff and we call it jazz. It's a lot more structured than that. There's certain things you need to play over the chord structure and the melody line. So, I had basically come from a classical background, brass band, and I got launched into this jazz career, which has now served me for 40 years. So, I think I got on top of it last week. So to demonstrate quickly what improvisation is, I thought I'd play, this is actually one of the first things I played in the brass band. It's an old march, you may know it. I will then play it in a semi-classical way. I don't really use a classical size instrument, but I'll play it as a classical player would approach it. And then I will improvise on it, and that'll give you the sort of the idea of what we have to do as musicians. And I think where I teach at the New Zealand School of Music, which is, for those who don't know the New Zealand School of Music, is the combined music departments of Massey and Victoria. And the good thing about that is all the students can cross between the two genres. So I have 3 big bands at that school, and probably 10 of the players are classical majors. They come down and play in the big band, which serves them well. A lot of my classical players go up to Victoria and play at the orchestra. But this is the 3 styles of my journey, and you'll see what I have to do to be a jazz musician. Now you may recognise this, and there's another test at the end. that piece called? Yeah, that was actually Colonel Bogey March. So, sort of played in a sort of legit, as the gentleman in the back is playing it dead straight, which is pretty much what you have to do when you're playing in the brass band. Classical, rounder sound, and then really what I did there is just took that tune and everything is based upon and started to make my own melody out based around the melody and the chord structure. So that's what jazz is. So a lot of people think people playing jazz just get up and play. It's a lot more structured than that, and that's what we teach at the school. Now through that, over 40 years of doing it, as I say, this is my 40th anniversary, there's a lot of things being planned this year. It started to dawn on me that we have a full-time symphony orchestra, we have a full-time ballet company, we have a full-time opera company, we have 4 regional orchestras, and we have 2 full-time service bands and 1 part-time one here in Wellington. What's missing? A jazz band. Now in the school system where I teach, we have upwards of 100 students learning jazz as a major. You can learn jazz up to a full doctorate level at the university. There's a university in Christchurch and there's 2 universities in Auckland, all with jazz programs. There's 90 odd school bands, high school bands in New Zealand are jazz bands. Far more than any orchestras or concert bands, and unfortunately brass bands. The brass bands have been the losers in the school system, that there's less and less brass bands, more and more concert bands, and a lot more jazz bands. I think the jazz band, because of its nature, it can be a different range of instruments. We could have 5 trombones and a drummer and a piano player and a bass player. We can have a saxophone, a trumpet, a trombone. We can have a singer, a piano player, a guitar player. They're all jazz bands. You can't do that with an orchestra. You can't do it with a concert band. You can't do it with the brass band. And that's why a lot of it has come into the school system, is that it's a lot more flexible than the other art forms for getting students and getting them playing in an ensemble, because you don't need sort of 20 violins and 10 cellos and double basses, which if you don't have all that, an orchestra never sounds any good. So basically, my thought was 40th year, major concerts this year. We've got one on March 17th, it's the Wellington Jazz Club's running. It's like a tribute thing to me, but the more part is that there's a lot of players coming back. I've got 2 players who played on the very first band in 1973 coming back for that particular concert, and several other ones during the year. Naturally, everything needs funding, as you alluded to, trying to get any arts body going and touring. And a lot of people don't realise that the Rodger Fox Big Band has always been run as an incorporated society. It's been a trust. So no players in my band have ever been paid. I've never been paid. For 40 years the money's gone into the collective fund, and we've done the overseas tours, brought in the international players, we've done our recordings. Last year I took the Wellington Jazz Orchestra, my new band down here, to Los Angeles, and we recorded at Capitol Studios, which is the famous studio in Los Angeles where people like Frank Sinatra and Count Basie and Ella Fitzgerald and Nat King Cole all recorded. It was a magical experience, but it cost $108,000 to do. So, like all art bodies, it needs funding. But my thought was, what's going to happen to all the younger players coming through who I'm curating at the universities? At the moment, they do the rock band circuit, they go out on cruise boats, make a living with a wee bit of teaching, and cobble together enough to pay the rent. But it seems to me that if you're going to spend as much time learning this instrument in a jazz fashion than, say, somebody who's playing violin or classical clarinet, who's got the opportunity to play in an orchestra full-time, or the regional orchestra system, we should have a jazz band. Seeing there's probably 250 to 300 students learning jazz in any given year in the university system. seems to me that now's the time for full-time New Zealand jazz orchestra. And I thought, why not? Why not capture people's ears? My 40th year, publicity, band touring, band out playing, doing concerts all around New Zealand during the year to celebrate that time, a way of promoting that. So it seems to me the time is right. I may be able to see it come to fruition before I turned 60. Man, I never thought I'd get to 40. And my parents didn't think I'd get to 30. The lifestyle I was leading. As soon as I said I'd joined a rock band, it was like, it's all over. It's all over. But, the red wine's helped. That's it. So, really, part of what my discussion today is really just about what it's taken for somebody like myself to get 40 years of playing jazz, but I think we also need to think past that and look at the formation of a New Zealand National Jazz Orchestra to work alongside the Symphony Orchestra, the Ballet Company, the Opera Company. And there was a quote made the other day, I can play in the Puppet Raglan or Carnegie Hall. With an 18-piece big band, I can play anywhere in New Zealand. You can't play everywhere in New Zealand with the Symphony Orchestra. You can't take the Ballet Company to every place in New Zealand. And the good thing about an 80-piece band, it's a lot more movement. So it's actually a functional thing as well. And with a lot of the players in the band, like myself, who has had quite a diverse set of trainings, coming from a classical brass band background, on the educational front for a New Zealand jazz band, it's a really good tool educationally when we're out doing schools concerts. We can promote people to study music, learn music, be part of music on all genres, not just jazz, and to get into places which some of the other organisations can't go to because of just sheer physical size of those organisations. So that was really the plea. Money for my 40th tour, sponsorship, thank you for setting that up, and also the vision of a national jazz orchestra. And I'm around for the rest of the afternoon until the end of the function, so if anybody's got any ideas or you'd like to talk to me and discuss about, or any ideas you've got, or you may be able to help me along those, either one of those lines, I'd be more than happy to